again. Got the front of the car off, and this time it's so we can change out the balancer. And it looks like I'm gonna have to pull both pulleys, and probably gonna get another belt. This one's a little bit short, 1090. I think I'm gonna go with like a 1100, because this thing here can rotate all the way up to here. It just pivots around this, so I've got a lot of tensioner I can take up, and right now it is completely sucked in, and it's very, very snug. So everything came apart pretty good, no major issues. Fans unwired, no problem. So I think what we're gonna do now is loosen up the alternator, drop that belt, pop the bottom pulley so I can get this belt off without breaking it, and pop that other pulley, and then we're going to see what it's going to take to pull this off. But first thing I'm going to do is get my whistle and try to find exactly where top dead center is to see if I'm even close, because I checked the timing on this thing and it's about 12 or 13 degrees before at idle, and apparently has about 55 degrees of total timing, which would probably explain why it's breaking up at the top. Yeah, so at a minimum, until my new distributor comes in, I'm thinking I can disconnect the vacuum advance. I don't think that's going to be necessary, but since the new unit has really good marks on it, I'm going to endeavor to get this thing to top dead center and then see where we need to be. Alright, so this is the whistle. So what we're going to do now is attempt to pull the number 1 plug, screw that in, and then crank this baby over a bit till it whistles, and hopefully once it stops whistling, if I'm lucky, I'm close, otherwise I'll have to go all the way around. Hopefully once it stops whistling, we will know that we are at top dead center. So, back in a minute. Yeah, she's running a little fat, but no real damage. So got that plug out. It's kind of nice to be able to step in the front of the car to do it. So now we're going to see if we can get that. Boy, that is pretty greasy. I may have to change those sooner than I like. But now we're going to try to get the oldie whistle threaded in there, which ought to be entertaining. Alright. It's kind of hard to see all this and twist it. Alright, I'm going to need 2 hands. Back in a minute. Alright, so we got the whistle in, got that in. That was a bit of a pain. I know you're not supposed to turn this from the nut, but that's what I got. So we are not on the compression because this is not whistling. Oop. Huh. It did whistle. Not terribly well. Yep. Pretty good compression on the rest of the cylinders. Good Lord. Probably because it wasn't held its full stroke. Yep. Well, there it goes. Now it's compressing. Yep, it is definitely not lined up with the mark. Okay, now I see I think that's my 55 before mark. Alright, now we're whistling. Here's the mark here. Yep. There it is. Okay. And there's the timing mark I've been using. This is supposed to be 0. That's 0. So we'll have to remark that. But I think what I'm going to do is going to put a little paint mark on that and then put the new balancer on, do this whole thing again, and make sure wherever the new balancer comes up that because it's possible. This is just a rubber gasket. It is possible this thing has slipped. Who knows? That's why they want you to have an SFI spec, I guess. But it doesn't look too bad, although there is some cracking in the rubber. That could have slipped. So if I put the new balancer on and it lines up with that mark, that balancer has slipped. So we're going to go ugga-dugga this off and try to get set up with a puller. Now that's probably not 100% optimal, but we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. Oh, that's... I don't know if it's moving it. Hard to tell. I think it is. Maybe not. Yeah. Yeah, that's not terribly pretty, but what are you gonna do? Ooh, that's suboptimal. I bent my bolt. So now I need to get a new crank pulley bolt. Darn it. Well, at least I didn't frig up the threads. Damn. That sucks, because that's a weird fine thread. Well, maybe AutoZone will have it. It's kind of a common part. Alright, we gotta get something smarter than that. Phew. It's a good thing they're opening up a Harbor Freight close by. That puller's junk, but it's off. Chowdered up the end of the crank a little bit, but just skin, nothing major. It's still flat, just scratched. Threads are still good, although I did mess up the bolt, so I need a new bolt. I do notice now that my front main is a bit suspect. So I guess we're going to do that while we're in here, and when I get the transmission off, we'll probably do the rear main. Looking at it, everything else looks to be pretty good. Yeah, no serious issues. Pretty clean. So, Good Lord, I do have a correct installing tool for this thing that I bought in 1995 when I actually put a fluid damper on my drag car. And so I will not, hopefully, make such a hack out of this when I put the new one on. But my goodness, that was on there. Holy smoke. Phew, that was something. Okay, well, that's about all we're going to do for tonight, I think. I'm going to pull that seal so I can get some dimensions on it and see what I can find at the local parts stores. See if I can find one of these super special fine threaded bolts, thank God. And I'm stupid. I've done that before and they didn't bend, but this thing here had other ideas. That was on there. Of course, it's been on there since 1995. But we'll get a new bolt, get a new front seal, and then maybe we can put the damper on. But there you go. Phew, what a mess. Alright, well, I was able to get the seal out, put a little self-tapper in it, give it a yank. Out it came, because they try to be careful, because this is just a stamped tin timing cover, and I didn't want to pry on it and bend it. So it seems like I did that okay. The front of the crank cleaned up. This is the stud for the pusher that's going to be used. There was some silicone on this thing. This is the get it in frame, dummy. This is the stud for the pusher that we're going to use to put this new damper on. There was some silicone on it, but I don't think it was. I think what they did is at the end, because if we look at the washer, just got a glob of silicone on it. I think what they had done is when they got it in, they put a glob of silicone right at the keyway and smooshed it in with the washer to keep oil from sneaking its way out along that keyway, which I think is an interesting idea. I don't know that I've ever done that before, but we're going to do it again, so I'm going to clean that washer up. Let's see. So, I've got the seal ready to go. Nice and dry. And so we're going to tappy tap that seal in, and then try to push the damper on. I've got the damper in the oven at about 215 degrees, just kind of low. It's about 37 degrees out here today, so maybe that'll just give me a little bit of heat, a little bit. You're not supposed to heat those fluid dampers above 285, it says, so I'm just keeping it a little low. But with the cold engine and the hot damper, hopefully everything will squoosh together as quickly and easily as possible, because I don't want to screw this up and because I will have to go buy another puller, a real one with the threaded studs that go into it to pull that off, so we wouldn't ruin it if I screw this up, because that other one kind of tweaked right now. But yeah, so gonna smack that seal in place and then get this thing set up and see if I can kind of get a view of how that pusher works. Okay, the way this pusher works is you got a bunch of different studs here with different threads on them that thread into the crank, and then you turn that all the way in, you put your damper on, then you've got it threaded in here as well. Thread this all the way in, and then use this nut, hold this, and then you use this nut to slowly push the crank damper in place. So that's what we are about to do. I got some extra washers, make sure she's going to be nice and easy, and that's what we're about to try. So now I'm going to go get the damper, see if I can burn myself. Alright, so it's not too hot. Try to line that key up. There she goes. Oh, wow. And we'll screw that on and start pushing her in. Actually, I should probably get over here so I can do this right-handed. And that's it. Just keep cranking until it uncrank. Alright, well, we got her on. Look at the damn thing, not the water pump, stupid. And I'm going to squirt a little silicone in there before I put the new washer in place. Or the old washer in place with my brand new bolt I got from the grocery store, because I've got a grocery store with the best hardware selection I've ever seen in my life. 1/2 by 1.5 grade 8. And that's going to finish this damper installation up. And after that, it's just put the rest of this mess back together, do a little flushing on the radiator, and call it a day. So I got word from Summit the other day that the distributor isn't going to be coming in until at least the end of December now. But since the throttle position sensor is working, and I can't really drive it anyway because of the broken suspension, that really doesn't matter. But now I am 1099 legal with the harmonic damper, and we should be good to go. So anyway, we'll give you an update and as we putter along on this thing. Hope you're all having a good day. Take care.